Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video we're going to take a look at our next Tactics and Strategy series video, and this one is going to be about tanking and taking potential damage. For this replay, I'm in the Richelieu, the Tier 8 French battleship, and I'm playing by myself, and it's some domination here on the map Two Brothers, and as you can see with the matchmaker, this is a very heavy Tier 10 and Tier 9 game. So I am definitely outclassed in this one, and I'm going to have to use all of my skill as a player to not only deal damage, but also stay alive. Because of course, being at the bottom tier in the matchmaking, it does provide a completely different set of challenges, because most of the ships that are tiers above you, better guns, more armor, more hit points, all that good stuff. So I'm definitely going to have my work cut out for me in this game. And throughout the course of the battle, I just want to talk to you guys about how to stay alive, how to improve the longevity of your battleship play in particular. Of course, there are very select DDs and a decent bit of cruisers that do have access to heals in-game. But the one thing about battleships that is a constant is their ability to heal back hit points that they do lose. Now, it's very important to understand how the penetration mechanics work before we, actually analyze it in a game. So the TLDR, the too long didn't read, or the summary, if you will, for penetration is that there's light, medium, and heavy damage. And with light damage, you can get most, if not all of the hit points back. Medium damage, you can get a good bit, and heavy damage, you can get minimal to no hit points back. So for instance, when you take citadels in a battleship, you can only get back 10% of the damage that the Citadel did to you. So, for instance, if a battleship does 10,000 on a Citadel, you're only able to get back 1,000. With cruisers, I believe the number is 30%, but there's also some exceptions to that rule for various ships. I don't remember some off the top of my head, but regardless of that, when you take heavy damage, you can't get it back, and when you take light damage, like light HE damage and fires and flooding specifically, you're able to get back the vast majority, if not all of it, with your repairs. So that leads into the second part. What do you need to do in-game to be able to, live longer? And the first thing, of course, run premium consumables. That's the easiest thing, because if you run premium consumables, you're going to get an extra heal, you're going to get an extra charge on that, which is very important. And because I have Superintendent on my guy, you can see down at the bottom, I have 5 heals that I'm able to use. Now, the Richelieu has 63,700 hit points worth of base HP to work with when you get the upgraded hull. These 5 heals that I have are going to be able to push over 100,000 potential HP that I'm going to be able to take advantage of over the course of an entire game, assuming that I don't take too much heavy damage and that I'm able to use all of my repairs. Now, of course, being in a tier 10 match in a ship that doesn't really have very punchy guns, at least against the ships that you're going to be facing, the Richelieu's 15-inchers do have very good pen, but of course, going up against things like Kurfürsts and Runes and Yamatos, which are going to be on my flank, these guns do struggle to penetrate at pretty significant angles, and they're not able to overmatch the 27mm bows that you find on a lot of the high-tier cruisers, and of course not the 32mm bows and sterns that you find on the battleships at the tier. And even for this Azuma right here, he's at 17.6 kilometers. He is at about, maybe a 65-70 degree angle to me. So you'd think he's broadside enough. The shells are going to go down range, and unfortunately, as the shells fall in here, you're going to see some very disheartening stuff. 3 shell breaks off the side of the belt, so that's not good. But anyway, getting back to the tanking damage, you can see here, this enemy Yamato is going to be the bane of my existence over here, because he has guns that are able to overmatch the vast majority of my ship at any angle, at any range. So there's no reason for me to be playing up in the front here in this high-tier game in this battleship. And quite frankly, French BBs aren't the most tanky in the game. A lot of their ship is covered in 32mm armor, and they generally don't have the most hit points relative to their tier. So trying to push in this thing is not really the best option to be doing. And then, of course, the other thing is you can see this is quite a long reload on these 15-inch guns. It's darn near 30 seconds on the Richelieu. So, the DPM fight for against other battleships. Like, for instance, that Kurfürst right there, if he runs the 406s, he has guns that are bigger in caliber, he has more of them, and he has a faster reload, not to mention secondaries that are just as deadly. So there's no real reason for me to be pushing in there early in the game, and I'm just going to try to stick at range and utilize the excellent shell velocity that these guns on the Richelieu have to be able to deal damage from afar. Now you can see I have been able to manage about 467,000 potential damage so far in the game because I've had a couple battleship salvos come down range at me. And knowing your role within the matchmaking tier is also very important as well, like I've mentioned already. You know, there's no reason for me to be pushing up here early in the game, even if the Richelieu doesn't have the best dispersion as well. I have 25 kilometers worth of range to work with, and while I'm no means saying that you should be sitting all the way at the back at the extent of your range, there's no reason for me to push up in there. We only have one destroyer out in front of us, a Kiev, and while the enemy team currently doesn't have a DD over here, it doesn't make me feel very comfortable. And of course, we don't know if there is an enemy DD over here. It just hasn't been spotted yet, and the Kiev is not going to be doing a very good job of getting spots, and you can see the friendly Zao runs into the enemy Shimakaze that's over there on the one line. So we do know there's a Shima, and of course those 15 torpedo salvos are extremely difficult to deal with, and then there's an Ognavoid that gets spotted really quickly there at about 8 kilometers. So 2 enemy DDs are over here. I'm not going to be able to push up and try to get near the cap, so I really do have to stay in the back. Now you can see here, this is one of the big mistakes that I do make in the game. I had to turn broadside because it was either continue on the course and potentially eat torpedoes or get hit by battleship AP. But you know what? Between those two shells, those 2 salvos from the Kurfürst and the Yamato, I only took about 10,000 points of damage, and you can see I do use my first heal of the game, so I'm going to be able to get quite a bit of that back. And like I've mentioned before, taking heavy damage, you don't want to do that. That is one of the worst things possible. And, you know, taking citadels, that's the easiest way just to get chunked. It's, you know, chunked down really heavily. That's the thing. And, you know, playing competitively, talking to other battleship players out there, battleship mains in particular, that's the biggest bane. Taking big hits where you just can't get those hit points back is very, very bad. Now, right here, you can see as soon as I took the fire from that enemy Izumo, who's for some reason shooting HE, I decided to put my fire out immediately. Now, you might be wondering, why would you do that, Snake? There's no reason to put a single fire out, right? Well, you can see the position I'm in. I am so far away from the cap, and then even more so from the enemy ships that are over there, that I'm not really worried about taking HE spam. The Izumo can't shoot at me. The Des Moines is almost out of range, assuming that he's running the range mod. The Yamato isn't out of range, but of course he's going to be shooting AP, and the Rune is at about 20 kilometers, where, once again, he could be using the range module, but if he isn't, he is also out of effective range as well. So there was no real reason for me not to. Plus, I can shoot here, and every 20 seconds I am going to go stealthed up, because there's a lot of smoke screens out to my port side. So, you know, those smoke screens are going to provide line of sight cover for me, concealment I should say, every time that I hit the 20-second mark and the cooldown goes down, as you can see right there. So I'm able to stealth up here, and for good measure, I put myself behind the island just in case those enemy DDs moved a little bit further more to the east. Now right here as I shoot again, I do get spotted, so that does tell me that there's enemy DDs probably a little bit off my port bow. So they're going to be to the northwest of the ACAP, so that's important information to know. So you're going to see here, I'm going to try to get a little close here to this alpha objective, just trying to close the range just a little bit to make it easier to land shells on target. And like I said, at the high tiers, you know, you do have to stay in the back line at the beginning. This rune that's at 15.6 kilometers, you just got to be able to hit these shells, these salvos, at this kind of range. This is medium range, in all honesty, for the high tiers. It is long range for the low tiers, but it is medium range for the high tiers. And right there, I'm able to slam a citadel and a couple overpens into the side of that tier 8, or excuse me, that tier 9 German heavy cruiser, and I pick up my first kill of the game. So very good stuff right there. The friendly Yamato over there chunked him down for about 30,000 before I was able to finish off the kill. So very good stuff right there. A nice 1-2 punch of firepower going into that guy, and he is kaput. And now I'm going to shoot here at the enemy Des Moines. You can see that my heal did come back already, so I'm no worse for the wear, and if enemy torpedoes do come my way, I got my heal and my repair ready to go, which is very, very important. Now, you have to be very resistant to use your heal and your repair at the same time. Even if you have 2 fires burning on your battleship, heck, even if you have 3, be very, very careful when you decide to hit that R button. Because we all know that the cooldown on the repair, especially on battleships, is quite a long time. So you see here, I do get lit on fire, but there's no reason for me to use the repair. And really quickly, I do manage to get a double citadel and change on the Des Moines. So I've killed my second cruiser of the game, this one a tier 10 American heavy cruiser. And here's a teaching point right here. Let's say I would have been a noob and decided to use my repair as soon as that Des Moines would have lit me on fire. By the time those torpedoes got to me, my repair would have been down, and if one of them hits the wrong spot, I would be flooding. And that is also a very quick way to kill a battleship, get flooding on it. Now, of course, those torpedoes were probably Ognavoid torps, so they did run out. But let's say they didn't run out. If that would have hit me at the stern or the bow or basically anywhere but the midsection, I would have been flooding. And I also have my heal with a 1 minute and 10-second cooldown coming down now as well. So basically, I would be kaput, and if I didn't die, I would be down probably around 10,000 hit points, if not less than that, just because of negligence and not using my repair when I'm supposed to. So you've already seen two examples: using the repair when you know you can get away with it and you need to get stealthed up really quickly, and then also holding off on using the repair because you know that there's enemy torpedo boats about. And again, just be careful when you hit that R button. And there's going to be another example of that later on in the gameplay, so if you didn't fully understand it right there, I'll talk about it a little bit more when this game continues on. So to recap the game so far, it's 631 to 563. I'm at 2 kills and 75,000 points of damage. Our team has 2 caps and their team has 2 caps. And unfortunately, the Kiev died a couple minutes ago to torpedoes. So for some reason, I was thinking like an idiot right now, and I was like, well, let me try to push into A and get on the cap, or get really close to it to try to close the distance again to those enemy battleships. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure why I did this. I felt that at the time that it was the right play to make, but clearly this is not. And all I'm going to do is show my broadside to these enemy BBs. The Izumo hits me pretty good, but I do turn in time, and it looks like Ognavoid torpedoes. There's 4 of them right there. I'm not going to run into them, but there's also another salvo of Yamato AP coming, so I do take a couple of overpens right here, and I also get lit on fire. One of the enemy DDs is now smoked up in the A cap, and he is shooting at me. He already got 1 fire burning, and it's on the bow. So very unfortunately, it's actually going to be pretty easy for him to get a second fire. All he has to do is shoot at my superstructure. Now you can see 1 fire is burning, so I am using my heal to try to mitigate the damage that I am taking in return from the fire that's burning. And any second now, he is going to light another one. There we go. So now I have 2 fires burning, and I have to wait at least 30 seconds for the first one to get put out. But there's no good reason for me to hit the R button because torpedoes could be incoming. And the last reported position of the Shimakaze was in F2, which is rather close to me. So if I use my R button right now, and then torpedoes came and got me, I would be guaranteed dead because there'd be no way for me to put out the flooding. So just let the fires burn. And once again, I am lit on fire 2 times yet again, and I am still holding off on using my repair. I still don't feel that it's the time and place to use it. The next Yamato salvo comes in and does miss, and then I only have 1 fire burning because I do have a full fire build on this guy, you know, basics of survivability and all that good jazz. The flags too, to reduce the fire chance and all that. But right here, these torpedoes are going to be able to reach me, and I dodged just in the nick of time as the torpedo goes off my stern. But if I would have used my repair on those fires earlier, and that torpedo would have hit me, I would be dead, and I still have 2 heals left that I'm able to use. So in that entire situation, I think I had a total of 4 fires at various points lit on me, and I still neglected to hit the R button because torpedoes are the bane of a battleship's existence, short of taking citadels. Well, in all honesty, they basically are taking citadels because torpedo damage, you can't really heal a lot of it back up, and it does sometimes more damage than a citadel from an enemy BB does. So basically, yeah, torpedoes are getting citadeled, really. And you can see here, I turned into the island because I'm trying to get out of line of sight. I did shoot not too long ago. The Shimakaze did use his smoke, so he is not going to be able to get line of sight on me. So what I'm going to try to do is get as close as possible as I can to this island right here, and then I'm going to about face and run away. I still have about 20,000 hit points to work with, and I still have 1 more heal left that's got 1 minute and 12 seconds left on the cooldown. So what I'm doing right here is getting as close to the island as possible to shield myself from a potential Izumo and Yamato fire. And these rocks are also going to protect me from the enemy Kerfris. So this rock is coming in clutch, being able to shield me from 3 different battleships. And right here, for the second time in the game, I use my repair immediately. Now you can see, taking a look at the minimap, the Ognavoid was last spotted in Delta 2, but he is probably somewhere to the west of the A cap. But because I put this island in between myself and the cap, I am not detected right now. The Shimakaze is inside of his smoke screen, and, you know, my detection is 12.6, but of course he's inside the smoke, so he's not able to gain line of sight on me. Now I still have to wait another 1 minute and 5 seconds for my repair to get off a cooldown, but that is a-okay, because in this position, there's really not much of a threat from torpedoes, and as I do finally get spotted, I have my speed boost going, and I am actively running away from the battle. And of course, running away from torpedoes is something that is a very effective tactic, especially in the French ones, because while you're not going to be able to outrun them, of course, you know, if you're 10 kilometers away, and let's say a shimmy drops torpedoes as you're running away, and he's using the 12 kilometers, they're just not going to reach you. They're just not. And you can see here, I get my heal back ready to go, and I'm going to use my 5th heal of the game, and I'm also turning to the right and trying to dodge some fire from the Izumo. And that's the last thing that I've neglected to talk about. Just because you're in a battleship does not mean that you don't need to be changing speeds and your course all the time. It's not a destroyer thing, it's not a cruiser thing, it is just a good habit to have on all of the ship classes and all of the ships that you can play in-game. Now, unfortunately, I am not going to be able to live for too much longer because there is a Yamato shooting at me, and every time he pens me, he's going to do 4,400 or 4,884 damage to me, with each shell that penetrates. And you can see right here, running away from these torpedoes, I have enough speed to turn a little bit to the left, and then I'm going to swing my booty around, and I have still yet to take a single torpedo. And even though they did run out, once again, my heal or my repair is ready to go, so if I did need to use it, I certainly could. Now, at this point, I'm just trying to stay alive as long as possible. The score is 817 to 839. Our team is still losing, and we're going to have to find a frag here on the board somewhat quickly. A lot of my friends that abandoned me over here at the ACAP, I'm not 100% sure why. Now some of them are finally starting to come back and trying to get some shots here on the enemy Izumo. So I'm just running away, switching between the AP and the HE, trying to get some fires set. I do manage to do so. I'm up to 2.3 million potential damage, which, while it's not the highest I've had in a BB, that is an excellent number. Anytime you go over 1 million, you were definitely throwing your ship around. And you can see the Yamato shells coming in. Once again, I take another penetration. There's more torpedoes coming. I'm going to guess from the Shimakaze, but I'm not 100% sure. But I do manage to turn in and dodge. And even though I don't have a heal remaining, I would have died from those torpedoes if one of them would have hit me. But that's A-okay. And I am just trying to be a thorn in this Izumo's side because now he's at a point where he is a little bit too broadside than he really should be. You can see I got the armor-piercing shot loaded. And once again, another set of torpedoes coming in at me. I also slow down to dodge the shells from the Yamato. He does get one overpen for about 2,000 points of damage. I only have 4,000 left here, and I still am undetected because the Shimakaze decided to use his smokescreen. But at this point, I only have 1,700 hit points left. I'm going to try to help secure the kill on the Izumo before I do kick the bucket. And still, I'm trying to maneuver around and make it as difficult as possible for the Shimakaze to hit me. I'm down to just 1,000 hit points. I can see my fate has been sealed. The next Yamato's volley is coming in at me. So I got 4 seconds left on the reload, and I am furiously clicking right now to try to get the next salvo off, and right as I die, at least one of the turrets manages to send the shells downrange. They are flying through the air, but the Izumo is caught completely out of position. There's no way he's going to be able to live through this, and unfortunately for me, I had one shell bounce, so I wasn't able to secure the kill there at the end of the game. But now this guy is lit on fire. The enemy team has 975 points, and they're going to lose the Izumo here right about now. There we go. The Hindenburg manages to take care of the kill, and I actually had a little bit of a replay bug here. It's going to get all glitchy, but we end up coming back to win the game. So with that being said, let's take a look at the post-battle results. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. 440,000 credits received and almost 10k total experience earned. I dealt 121,000 points of damage off of 49 shell hits that caused 4 citadels. I sank 2 enemy ships, the Des Moines and the Rune, and I set 2 fires with the HE that I shot. Taking a look at the team score, 1,985 base experience in a tier 10 heavy match and a tier 8 battleship with guns that are not able to overmatch much. This was a fantastic performance and one of my best games in the Richelieu, in all honesty. This thing is not very adept at dealing damage very quickly because of the long reload and the low gun count. But if you're able to put the guns to work and stay alive, you can have nice results just like this. Taking a look at the detailed report, though. I dealt 121,000 points of damage, 16k with the HE, and 93 with the AP, and a further about 12,000 with the fires that I set. But let's take a look on the other side. Potential damage taken, 2.79 million. That, ladies and gentlemen, is an extremely large amount of potential damage for a battleship. Anytime you're getting near 3 million, that's some pretty incredible stuff. I also took 117,000 points of damage, 90,000 from artillery, and 26,000 from the fires that were set on me. And a couple times I did use the repair immediately because I knew that I could get away with it, and I explained it very, very effectively to you. All the other times, just let it burn. There's no reason. 2 destroyers on the flank, and not a single torpedo managed to hit me. One, because I was doing some nice torpedo beats, but also because I was putting myself in positions where I was, mitigating the chance of taking a torpedo hit. And the times that I did have my repair on cooldown, I was good. So This right here, one of my best examples I can think of just how to tank damage. And we ended up coming back to win the game, and I have to think that it's no small part due to me just staying alive long enough for my team to come back. They got the kill on the Izumo, getting our team back close enough to get the points in our favor, and then at the end of the game, the friendly Baltimore killed an Ibuki over by the enemy's base. So we were able to have a very nice comeback, and I really felt that I had a nice influence over the course of this game. So with that being said, this is the Sneaky Snake for Brothers in Arms World of Warships signing off. Guys and gals, please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, sharing it with your friends, or possibly subscribing to our channel. All of it is very much appreciated. And with that being said, have a great day.